Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar today for Major Security Incident Management, a virtual battle room for defense against the dark arts of security. Today, I'm joined with my colleague Mika, who is going to be covering how to take things proactively and learn how we can utilize software asset management to hopefully remediate against the vulnerabilities and security incidents before they actually occur. Now, before we actually get started, just some housekeeping items. I'm going to start with a safe harbor notice for forward-looking statement. Now, this presentation may contain forward-looking statements that are based on our beliefs and assumption and on information currently available to us only as of the date of this presentation. Now, your salary today is me. My name is Mohammed Nasser, and I'm a senior solution consultant specialized in security operations. I work for the Workflow of Magic company, ServiceNow, and I am a self-proclaimed Slytherin resident. And my colleague today is Mika. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Mika Anderson. I'm also a solution consultant here at the Magic School of ServiceNow. And I specialize on the IT asset management side, and my house is Ravenclaw.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mika. Now, the agenda for today's webinar is going to be as follows. We're going to start with major security incident management, just a quick overview, why it's important, why we should be looking at it. Then we're going to jump and see how to be proactive with software asset management. So the idea behind the better together story between software asset management and security operations is how we can actually utilize software asset management to found the assets, application, devices, services, etc., that could be vulnerable to major vulnerabilities or security incidents before they actually get promoted to a major security incident. Now, after that, we're going to come back to a final tour where we basically are going to look on how we can elevate security incident from regular security incident to major security incidents. After that, we're going to see how we can manage these major security incidents from an overview perspective to the tasks that are going to be assigned to the different employees or teams that are assigned to that security incident, how we can collaborate between the teams, whether they were in security, IT, HR, legal, etc., on these major security incidents, and finally, status tracking and reporting. Now, sit tight and park your brooms. This is going to be a very interesting one. Now, I'm actually going to disable my camera before I jump into the rest of my presentation here, just to help my internet not crash. Okay, so what makes an incident a major security incident rather than just a standard security incident? Here we have this simple graph that basically helps us explain what is a standard security incident versus a major security incident. Now, the main user persona that we often see utilizing standard security incident are SOC analysts, or whoever is working on SOC to actually help remediate these security incidents, along with security admins in some cases where we need their approval, or if they pass a specific threshold where an admin should be there to basically monitor the response associated with that security incident. Now, when it comes to major security incident, the main user persona is going to be the major incident manager, and that's someone we just call when there is a very specific hard task that they need to be focusing on. The quantity of standard security incident, that obviously depends on the organization and their size, but it can vary to an average of 100 incidents per month. When it comes to major security incident, we're looking more toward 1 to 2 to maybe 3, 4 at the max major security incident per month. Sure, we hope we do not exceed that. The duration a standard security incident usually spends on the environment of the affected company or organization is a matter of hours. It can be stretched out to days. While major security incidents, unfortunately, because they have been embedded into the environment, usually take a bunch of weeks, months. I've even seen use cases where it's been stretched out to years. Now, the automation flows, technical response oriented when it comes to standard security incident, while in major security incident, it's going to be communication and collaboration focused. So we actually rely on the collaboration between all of the different teams when we are remediating that security incident. The artifact handling, a handle attached to incident record when it comes to standard security incident, while in major security incident, that can be 100, possibly 1,000 integration, file share repository. These could be logs, this could be audit trails, this could be emails, a bunch of different things. Communication method when it comes to the standard security incident is going to be task driven. So whoever has a task is gonna feel the need to communicate with whoever is actually performing that task. While in major security incident, we're going to have emails, text, web conferences initiated and tracked via the incident itself. The collaboration in standard security incident, we often see outside of the incident itself, manually copied to incident when required. So we can have collaboration in standard security incident. We tend to usually utilize the workflows that we have to automate the response for the standard security incident, but sometimes we do have to do things manually. While in major security incidents, the collaboration is more going to be chat-oriented. So we created the chat function and the file share activity tracked within the incident for audit and status purpose. Finally, reporting focused. Inside the security incident, we just want to look at the overview of all of the incidents that we've worked on, what they have, what kind of risk they presented to our organization versus how we've handled it. While in major security incident, we actually want to look at all of the information about that incident, who it had affected, what is the risk that that specific incident posed to our organization, and etc. So let's look at some of the facts about major security incident and specifically ransomware. Now, the White House have actually been quoted in June 2021 that ransomware are a threat to the core operations. It also in 2021, the average bill for a ransomware attack with downtime, people time, device cost, network cost, loss of opportunity, etc., was around 4.62 million, and that does not include the ransomware paid for these ransomwares. We've also seen 150 billion in 2021 cybersecurity and risk spending. Number one in 2021 priority for the CIOs was ransomware. We've seen 40 to 60% improvement in response speed with security operations in ServiceNow. 80% of the observed attacks used vulnerabilities reported and registered for more than 90 days. And this is where we're going to actually be utilizing SAM because we know that the vulnerability exists, but we haven't taken the appropriate action to remediate against that specific vulnerability. And finally, 2.3 million US dollars are the additional breach cost for those environments with high level of compliance failure versus low level compliance. Okay, so what exactly is major security incident management and what did ServiceNow do to actually help build this single pane of glass? So major security incident is going to be your single pane of glass where you can basically see all of the different affected assets, who are the affected users, what are the affected location when it comes to that security incident, who are the teams that should be working on it, what kind of collaboration do we want? All of the details around it is going to be in that specific single pane of glass. So rather than working on a bunch of different security incidents, which later on I'm actually going to be jumping onto the ServiceNow instance to demonstrate what that looks like, you're only going to have the single view that houses all of these security incidents together. So what does that exactly mean and what does that entail? Number one, we have the dedicated workspace for the major security incident manager to coordinate incident response, whether that was with the different teams, with different management personas, etc. We have the collaboration workflows via Microsoft Teams and evidence management with Microsoft SharePoint integration. So we actually embedded the ability to start specific teams, channels, and start different SharePoint folders to share the document and artifacts around the security incident within that single pane of glass. We also offer task management for security, IT, and non-IT roles, and a summary metrics to quickly see the status of that incident. So sometimes we have to involve HR, sometimes we have to involve legal, sometimes we even have to involve third parties who aren't working with the environment. So we want to make sure that we have a place to manage all of the tasks assigned to all of the different individuals who are going to be working on that security incident. And major security incident definitely makes that much easier for us. Number 4, we have the executive and technical status reporting summary and progress for incidents and team working on it. So we want to be able to actually generate a report that we can present to management or present to whoever is concerned about that security incident. So we added the ability to build that report right from the single pane of glass. And you can later on export that report into a PDF format and email it or keep it for your safe records. Now, if you are familiar with ServiceNow, I'm sure you are also familiar with the Cmdb and how important Cmdbs can be when it comes to all of the different offerings that ServiceNow has. Now, in this deck here, we can see what exactly it offers to different offerings, whether that was ITOM, ITSM, ITAM, ITBM, but our focus today is going to be security. So we can see that the value of a Cmdb or a mature Cmdb is going to be critical. What exactly are the benefits of a mature Cmdb when it comes to security operations? Now, number one, and this is the most obvious one, is going to be the prioritization that is based on the business criticality. So we can actually utilize that Cmdb to see how critical the asset that has been affected and how important it is for us to remediate it in time versus what are the dependent assets on it or the dependent services, etc. Also, utilizing the Cmdb, we get faster incident isolation and response, and that is because we know where the security incident is, in fact, whether that was its location or if it's within an asset, what application that vulnerability or security incident is on, so that eventually leads to a faster incident isolation and response. Finally, we have end-to-end risk visibility. So understanding where is the asset or the application or the service is, we understand what risk it presents to us and how we can actually remediate against it. Now, what are the key metrics when it comes to the Cmdb and security operations is the reduction in time to remediation of P1 vulnerabilities. I'm also going to be covering that, in fact, in the instance once we jump into the live demonstration. And before I actually jump into major security incidents, which is going to be our main topic for today, I kind of wanted to cover how we can take things proactively. So before I jump into my part, I'm going to pass it down to Mika, where she's going to walk us through software asset management and how we can utilize it into taking matters proactively.
Thanks, Nazar. All right, so taking a look into software asset management and how it ties into your security plays. In terms of software asset management on the platform, really what it is the end-to-end management of all of your different software installations to be able to answer the questions of what software do you own, are you buying what you need, and are you using what you have. So in terms of being able to identify what users have, specific applications that are unique to marketing or finance in order to determine if there's any unnecessary spend, or even in today's conversation talking about risk, it's going to be really important to determine and gain visibility on any software that might be at risk of these vulnerabilities. All right, so when we take a look into how SAM plays in with SecOps, if you want to move into the next slide. So one of the ways that we can see SAM work better together with security on the platform is really through identifying where the most recent vulnerabilities exist through outdated software models. And so as discovery is running and pulling what's installed on your employees' devices, on your customers' devices, this is how we can determine where we might need to take action and be proactive in order to say, hey, certain pieces of software have been on devices and it's not really being utilized, or this type of software is a really old version of that particular model. So let's harvest that back so that we can determine and keep our employees as safe as possible. All right, so last thing I want to highlight here. So from the point of software asset management, really the intention is to be able to not only reduce on cost savings and increase efficiency in your software processes and provisioning, but also to reduce risk. And really the highlight here is to look at software exposure. What kind of software do you have on your devices? Do you really know the end-to-end of all of the different software on your employees' devices, as well as restricted software, being able to determine and harvest back any licenses that may not need to be utilized. Maybe they have, a Harry Potter game that's installed on their laptop, and we want to ensure that we want to make sure that we're in tune with all of the different software that's on their devices. So being able to track on harvested licenses as well as the lifecycle management is going to be really important. And so from this point, we can talk about software exposure assessments. And so at this point, we can check for vulnerabilities ahead of time and be proactive. And so we can identify these, see what devices are impacted, and then automatically create security incidents or be able to track those vulnerabilities within the system before any major attacks come on. All right, so Nazar, I'm gonna go in to share my screen really quick just to show how we can be proactive and set up security incidents with software asset management.
Please.
And then let's actually take a pause here for any questions in the chat.
I'm monitoring the questions as they come. I'm gonna answer any that are related to security, and if any are related to ITAM, I'm just gonna defer them to you once you're done.
Sounds good. All right, so when we take a look into software asset management on the platform, can you see the software asset overview, Nazar?
Yes.
Okay, so when we take a look into software asset management, we're going to see a quick view, a high-level view, single pane on this particular type of data. So when we look at software, we can look into any old models. And from this lifecycle report, we can take a look into the lifecycle of all of our different software models that are being discovered, filter by risk. And so at this point, we can group by risk. And take a look here into any of these software that have been calculated at a higher risk and are at the end of support. And so in this case, we can indicate that there are people who still have this software installed on their devices. Maybe it's time for them to upgrade, or maybe we need to harvest that back and reach out to those 4 individuals that have that particular model. And so we can ensure that we are maintaining compliance and keeping our utmost security. The other way that we can look into this as well is through license usage. And so using Microsoft as an example, we can take a look into what is compliant and what is not compliant. Take a look into Visio, and let's say with our older model, our 2013, any unlicensed installs, so without going through that software provisioning process, we can see that there are 10 users or devices who that device is assigned to, and potentially harvest back any of those older licenses that either might be at end of support or are an outdated model that most people within the organization don't utilize. And then the last thing I really want to talk about here is the reporting capabilities. And so being able to be proactive on your different software installations. So we can check for publishers and products out of compliance, but in terms of the risk of security incidents, we can check for any content that hasn't been downloaded into our software repository so that we have the most up-to-date data within our asset repository, and then identifying removal candidates. So this is going to be indicative of the different justification models. So in this case, we can either see low usage, but for the sake of security, we'll see here any restricted software or any unlicensed software. So users that may not have gone through that policy or have gotten that first level of approval from their manager to get that software on their device. And so this is going to set us up for the next piece of the conversation when it comes to identifying any vulnerabilities on those software. All right. And so, Nazar, if you want to go back into the presentation. All right, so when we talk about software asset management and being able to take a look into some of those candidates, those software models that are at risk of exposure, we can also see here how IT operations management pulls into this as we utilize the best practices when implementing discovery tools. So really, the foundation is being able to get visibility into the type of data that is in your different devices, and that comes with that particular discovery source. So the best practice here is to ensure that you are setting up your discovery tools and that we can get full visibility into all of the data and assess that software. All right. Any questions on the software asset management piece? Nazar, do we want to pull up the poll? I know there was a question that we had.
Absolutely. So we actually have one poll ongoing right now. If you can all see it. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay, I just launched the poll and let's give it a couple of seconds to see what everyone's response is. And please remember, there are no wrong answers here. Yeah, Mika, honestly, one of the things that I used to struggle with a lot when I used to be in the SOC was the amount of times we would get security incidents because someone had installed an application that they didn't know that they had to get approval for, or an application that was commonly known in the security world that to have a backdoor into the environment. So I'm glad to see that ServiceNow takes these things actively and can actually monitor and see whether the applications on the users' computers are approved or not.
Yeah, and it's all about being proactive as well. So being able to not only get that data on that software and get the visibility, but taking remediation actions, right? Like not just, I found software that is at risk or at exposure, but being able to immediately take that off without having to use another tool.
Absolutely. I can't even imagine how much time that would have saved me. Okay, so looks like we already have the results for the poll. I'm actually very happy to see that 40% of the attendees use ServiceNow SecOps versus just 30% using ITAM. So that makes me very happy. Well, hopefully by the end of this webinar, we can convince you to utilize both of them.
That's awesome seeing how many people are utilizing ITAM as well and seeing that knowledge across the different areas of the platform.
Absolutely, yes.
Hoping all of the ITAM users are team or House Ravenclaw.
Okay, and this is another poll. I'm actually going to keep this one running while I cover the rest of the presentation today, just for the sake of time. And if you want, please help us gather some data on how many individuals have a mature Cmdb. Okay, now jumping back into major security management and what exactly that means and what exactly it offers the organizations. So I'm not gonna take a lot of time covering that on the presentation part because I wanna make sure that we have enough time to jump into the instance and see these things live. But major security incident management will quickly determine the state of a major security incident from one location. So as you can see on the screen here, we have this timeline that basically gives us a quick overview of how the incident is progressing, whether that was by the task or how many tasks are currently in which state, because major security incident could mean that there are a bunch of different mini security incidents associated under that big umbrella of major. So we can see how many of those security incidents are in recover versus contain, analysis, etc. We can even see how many tasks are assigned, overdue, or in progress. We can see the active teams that are linked to that incident by state collaboration and more directly from the overview screen. So we can see which teams are assigned to what state or what task and how much percentage complete they have done. We can also monitor the data trending over time to ensure incidents are resolved quickly and efficiently. We don't want to promote regular security incident to major security incident and just forget about them. We want to make sure that we actually are remediating the security incident and hopefully eliminating that risk. And the results for the second poll are in. It also looks like most of the attendees today are utilizing ServiceNow Cmdb, which is very great, and I'm very happy to see that. Now, the other thing that we can get from major security incident management view is the details about the incident and all of the child incidents that are under it. So we can see the details about the major security incident, all of the active team members, and more to give the incident commander a thorough understanding of who is involved. We can also see or browse into each child security incident and vulnerable item to understand more about it, or if there is a specific task that is associated with one of those child incidents, we can actually help remediate that from the major security incident view. We can also create private work notes and see all activity related to the major security incident.
Liz, are you sharing the major security incident management screen?
Yes.
Okay.
If
the slide is, if you want to reshare really quick, I think it froze on the last slide. Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Apologies. So back to what I was saying, basically, we can see the details of the major security incident, all of the active team members, etc. We can browse into each child security incident and vulnerable item, and we can create private work notes and see all of the activity related to major security incident as well. I'm not sure how many slides I was pausing on, but don't worry, everything that I'm covering right now will be covered again in the instance once we actually jump into that demo portion. Going back into collaboration with team members is easier than ever. Now, when we are working with major security incidents, the key factor to success here is going to be the collaboration between the teams. Some of the tasks are going to be handled from the security teams. Some of the tasks are going to be handled from the IT teams. Sometimes we actually do need to involve HR in a case where we maybe need to disable someone's access. And have the legal liability taken off our take the liability burden off our shoulders. So we also want to involve the legal team as well. So the configuration into the major security incident management dashboard allows us to automatically create SharePoint folders and Teams chat channels to maybe transfer some of the data in a secure manner, or start a chat between the individuals who are actually going to be involved into handling the task, into remediating or handling the security incident itself. Now, the incident commander can also view all of the collaboration activities. So rather than just creating these random chats and all of these folders, we actually have the option of monitoring what goes into these chats and what are the data that have been uploaded to these different SharePoints. So as the major incident commander, I'm able to see all of that from an overview perspective. Now, one of my favorite things about major security incident is the ability to track all of the different tasks from this visual task board, where we basically can see all of the different tasks, who it's assigned to, which one are in progress, which one are in a draft state, which one have been completed, what is the percentage completed on some of these tasks. So this view kind of gives you the ability to basically see what that means, and how you can maybe get in touch with someone who have been taking their sweet time on one of these tasks and how to basically make sure that they are actually taking care of it. I'm not sure if something is going wrong with my screen here, but I keep seeing that someone keep raising their hands. I'm not sure if that's a question or if there's a technical difficulty. Can everyone see me and hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Now, lastly, we want to be able to provide up-to-date minute reporting to the stakeholders who are involved with these different security incidents. So we have the ability to actually create these reports from the major security incident view and be able to export it into PDF, Excel, any format that we like. We can later on share it in an email, or if there is a specific maybe meeting where we are discussing that major security incident, it's very helpful to have all of the major information, overview information in one single document to be shared across all of the stakeholders attending that meeting. Now, hopefully you are not lost on all of the facts and awesomeness of major security incidents, but to make sure that we give you the ability to see everything in real time, I'm gonna go ahead and switch to my instance to demonstrate what major security incident looks like. Can everyone see my screen? Mika, can you confirm?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so now before I actually jump into major security incident, I kind of wanted to walk you through this organization who is not utilizing major security incident and what their overview looks like. So over here, I have the Cso Dashboard, which is one of the dashboards that come out of the box in security operation to basically show you all of the information or the overview of the security posture of the organization. So this organization is not utilizing major security incidents, and we can see that reflected in the total number of priority 1 versus priority 2 incidents. They have over 500 priority 1 and 157 priority 2 incidents that they are working on actively, which is definitely not a good thing, because if we have more than 600 security incidents that are considered major or priority 1 or 2, that means that we are not doing our job right, and that means that there's something definitely going on wrong that we need to be fixing. Now, jumping into this other organization that is pretty awesome and is utilizing major security incident, we can see how the total number of priority 1 and priority 2 incident has significantly decreased. Now we're only working on 1 priority 1 incident and 0 priority 2 incidents. So that means that maybe all of those ones that other company had were housed under or put under the single umbrella of one single major security incident, and we are collectively working or assigning tasks to remediate that specific security incident. Okay. Now, in this view, this is where we basically can see all of the different open security incidents that are assigned to this organization. So in this view, I'm basically looking at all of the open incidents specifically. We have a bunch of different quick filters that can be utilized for whichever reason that the company chooses. In my case, I've built one for phishing. I've built one for critical incidents. I've built one also for open critical incidents. Now, if we see from the big view here, we can notice how this specific security incident has been tagged as major security incident, along with this other one, along with this other one. So why exactly did we feel the need to promote this security incident and make it a major one? Let's open the incident record to see why. Now, the first thing that we're going to notice is this is a pretty straightforward phishing attempt. It looks like Sharon received an email. She suspected that it was a phishing attempt. So she basically clicked on report phish in her Outlook client, and that basically created a new record in ServiceNow that flags that email as a phishing attempt. Now, scrolling down, we can see the work notes that have been going around with all of the teams involved. But what really sparks my interest here is that I'm seeing that we have around 31 other security incidents that match the specific one. So it looks like there is basically a major kind of attack that is going on that is creating all of these different phishing attempts. So me, as just a regular SOC user, I thought that this should be promoted to major security incidents. So I sent it to my system admin, or the security admin in this case, and asked them if we can promote this into a security incident or a major security incident. which lastly leads me or takes me to the major security incident management workspace. So in an in major security incident management workspace, we can see that we have basically a list of all of the different security incidents that have been submitted, all of the ones that have been proposed, rejected, approved. What that exactly means is that, for example, I have this one that has been sent to me. It looks like this one has already been taken care of, which is the MSI incident, while the one that we are currently working with is the demo ransomware attack in the headquarters. It looks like we have a priority that is critical. It looks like the incident manager in this specific case is Amy. It looks like the primary state for all of the different tasks are in contain. And it looks like the person that had promoted it or approved that promotion is the system administrator. Now, if we had more security incidents, this is where we basically are going to be seeing them. We don't have any that are currently proposed, or we don't have any that are currently rejected, so that is a good thing. So let's jump ahead into the one that we've accepted, and we actually do in fact know that it is a major security incident. Now, clicking on it, we're basically are going to be presented with the overview about this specific security incident. So leading me to how many affected assets do we currently have involved in the security incident? How many affected users do we currently have that are affected with the security incident? Along with how many locations do we also have associated with the security incident? If I wanted the latest information as the major security incident manager or commander, I don't even need to get in touch with a specific team or a specific individual to give me the latest information. I can rely on ServiceNow because it always has the latest data, and I can just refresh the data from here. I can see the duration counter, so the time since this incident has been started. It looks like it's 226 days, 5 hours and 27 minutes. What is the estimated resolution date is going to be 177 days from now. Now, keep in mind, this is just demo data, so we try to keep the time as big as possible. We can see how many active teams are working on remediating the security incidents. So it looks like we have 2 from network, we have 1 from application security, and we have 1 from MSI reviewers. Now, what are the linked security incidents and what states are they in? So it looks like we have 7 security incidents that are in analysis state that are associated with this major security incident. We have 1 that is in contain and 1 that is in recover. Are there any trends that we should be wary of with the incidents that we have associated with this major security incident? Yes. Looks like we have a bunch that are, or 1 that is in recover, and most of them are in an analysis state. We can see even the response task and how they have been, what state they are in and how they have been distributed. So how many currently are assigned, how many are closed, completed, how many are in the work in progress, etc. We can see the in progress tasks by incident and state. We can see how many that are overdue, how many that are assigned, how many are currently in progress. If there are any external collaboration, what is the data available on that? It looks like we don't have any in this case, so that's why we are not getting any data here. Now, if I want to jump into the details of this security incident, I can jump into the details and just give it a second to load. So it looks like the number for the major security incident is MSI, which means that it is going to be on the major security incident table. We can see when it was detected, when is the estimated resolution date, the subcategory it falls under, scan by email activities, peer phishing, large campaign. The category is phishing, and that is because most of the incidents that have been promoted into major security incident, in this case, were tagged as phishing, and this is coming because of the source that we've ingested that data in. Title, demo ransomware attack in headquarters. The priority is critical, and this is where we are seeing the powerfulness of the Cmdb firsthand. So the criticality in this case, or the priority in this case, have been automatically assigned as critical just because of the number of individuals that are affected with the security incidents and the number of teams that are affected with the security incidents. I can also see all of the different communications here that are associated with the specific security incident or major security incident. And if there is a need for it, I can even type any work notes, and these are going to be private. So only the individuals who have an ITIL role, who also have the access right to major security incidents, are going to be able to see this. versus just comments and these are going to be available to all of the individuals who have access right to major security incidents. We can see the active teams that are also working on the security incidents here. Now, this is where it gets beautiful, and this is where we actually can see the different tasks that have been distributed to the different teams who are going to be working on the security incidents. So we can see a bunch that are in draft state, a bunch are in assigned, some are in progress, some have already been completed. We can see in this one, identify the malware IP, so it's already been assigned to a specific team. We can see how these tasks also have their own priority. So this one is critical, check the Exchange server is not responding, versus one that acknowledge for user submission and ask if they have interacted with the email. I'm sure you've noticed that my screen was loading. This was not an error thing or anything like that. It's just a matter of the fact that we are constantly checking to see if any of these tasks have been updated or if there are any changes associated with the major security incident in general. Now, in the collaboration tab, as the commander of the security or the major security incident, I'm able to actually see all of the files that have been created in SharePoint around that specific major security incident. So we have a bunch of legal docs, a bunch of logs, a bunch of system image. I have the option of opening the SharePoint in a new tab, or I can move it into maybe all of these folders into one single folder if I choose to do so. Now I can also see all of the different teams that I have created here. So all of these are going to actually create a team channel chat on Microsoft Teams to allow the technical experts, the executive experts, the legal experts, and just general information to communicate around this major security incident specific. And they also have the option of monitoring that communication right from here. These are all of the activity, all of the different things that or tasks that have been completed, all of the different changes regarding this major security incidents are reported here in real time. Now, the status report, this is where we basically can create different reports that are going to be kind of tailored toward different audiences. So in this case, I have already the technical status report created. If we can take a look at that, let's just give it a couple of seconds for it to load. And this obviously
that's loading. Just a quick question. Earlier during the demo, we have a question on, can you give an example of a partial compliant case?
I'm sorry, what exactly are they referring to? Compliance and SAM or compliance? Sorry?
A partial compliant case.
I'm not sure exactly I'm following. Are they referring to security operations or are they referring to SAM?
I'll follow up. But in terms of the workspace, we can configure it in any way. There's a UI builder. So for any of the workspaces built on the platform, like the software asset workspace, and this one as well, the security incident management, the reports and all of that can be configurable. Just a couple of questions in the chat.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're definitely going to follow up on the partial compliance case, but I'm going to assume that they are referring to SAM use case, and in partial compliance, this could be maybe an application that needs a specific approval. I mean, it's not against policy to have you download it, but maybe it just needs a specific approval for you to download it. So this could be a partial compliance case. In the SecOps portion, the only compliance piece that we cover in security operations is going to be configuration compliance, which is part of vulnerability response, which basically allows you to see if the different applications, services, devices have been deployed in your organization. Again, the specific authority documents that you need to be in compliance with, and what is the compliance state of that specific application asset, etc.
Right. On the software asset management side, in terms of partial compliance, so in ServiceNow, we break it down by each software model. So depending on, let's say, Windows, right? If you have Project 2013 and 2019, 2019 could be compliant, but your software model for 2013 could be out of compliance. So if that kind of defines partial compliance, I would say it's broken down by version of software model.
There is also another question that I'm going to address really quickly, which is, can the task section be automatically created based off the type of incident selected? This is actually a great question. So you can build a bunch of different workflows that basically are going to automatically create some of the tasks based on the incident categorization or based on its priority. But you also have the option of creating them manually or in a hybrid manner. So maybe the case in this task, I know for a fact that this one has been automatically created, is the acknowledge this user submission and ask if they have interacted with the email. This is because all of the different security incidents here are associated with the playbook of phishing. And the first part of that would be to acknowledge the user submission. So this task has been, in fact, been created automatically. Okay, I'm going to address the rest of the questions at the end of my demonstration today. I just want to make sure that we have the time to finish the demo. Okay, so over here we have the status report for the technical information about this major security incident. This has been created automatically. We can see the progress is automatically created for us. What is the scope within the security incidents? What are the challenges that we've seen? Overdue, what are the next steps that we're taking? What are the activities that had happened, the different tasks, which ones have been completed, which ones are currently in progress, etc. So all of the information that you can see from this view have been translated into a document format that you can actually utilize for audit trails, or you can utilize it to send it as a communication document to the rest of the stakeholders within your organization. So this is definitely a very powerful thing, and I've seen this used so many different times, especially when I used to be as a SOC manager. I had to actually create these reports from scratch. So seeing that the tool is able to create this for me with just a click of a button is definitely a great addition and would have definitely made my life easier. Now, over here, we have the incident impact, and this is where we basically are going to look at the different configuration items associated with the security incident and understand what is the impact that it could have to us. So in this case, we can see that all of these different configuration items can be damaged, or they can maybe go offline if we don't patch the security incident in time or this vulnerability in time. So the ability to see these assets firsthand is definitely a very powerful thing. And we can even see how this stretches on for different pages. And this is, again, another thing where we can see the powerfulness of having mature Cmdb into our place, because all of this information has been automatically imported from the Cmdb. Over here, we can see all of the linked security incidents and vulnerable items associated with the major security incidents. So in this case, it looks like I only have 9 different security incidents that have been under the umbrella of this major security incident. So if there are maybe a vulnerability associated with it or something of that sort, that would also be reflected here. Finally, threat intelligence information. This heavily depends on having appropriate integrations on the platform. But threat intelligence information can actually help us understand more about the security incidents that we're working with. One of the powerful things that we can do is maybe an integration with VirusTotal or CrowdStrike, where we're able to automatically scan the email for attachment and see if the hash files associated with this attachment is in fact malicious or not. Maybe the IP addresses, maybe even the domain associated with the sender email, if they are malicious or not. So rather than use bubble sharing between ServiceNow and the other tool, we import all of that information through the integration and API to be able to just give you that information as soon as you access the record for major security incident. And this basically sums up the demo part for major security incidents. If you have any questions or any areas that you need further clarification on, please don't hesitate to reach out. Once we are done with this webinar, we're gonna send out a follow-up email. You can reply directly to that email with your questions, and we'll definitely make sure to address them in time.
We can also go back to the poll. We can discuss the answers from the last question.
Sure. So the last question that we've asked was whether they currently are utilizing the Cmdb, and whether It's not still pausing my screen for a second. So basically, we asked to see if they are currently have a mature Cmdb and whether they are utilizing ServiceNow for it or not. And the results are very pleasant because 51% of today's attendees are actually utilizing ServiceNow for the Cmdb. The rest 32% are utilizing third-party tool. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as they have a mature Cmdb, the security team is definitely going to be happy with that. Finally, we have 17% that are a no, which this could be on my end a mistake because I did not verb the specific question accurately. Maybe they do have a Cmdb, just not mature or something of that sort. But those 17% can definitely utilize the Cmdb, and more than happy to also reach out and we can discuss how we can help them deploy Cmdb utilizing ServiceNow and how we can use ServiceNow Discovery and ServiceNow Mapping into helping build that mature Cmdb.
Sounds good. I did have a quick question kind of as a follow-up for one of the questions in the chat. For the major security incident workspace, what SKU would be needed in order to have full functionality of security incident response?
That is a great question. Now, normally these kind of questions, we kind of like to refer them or defer them to the implementation team, just because this can definitely change significantly based on how big or small the organization is, based on what they are exactly looking to get out of major security incident or regular security incident. But for a starter, one thing that I always advocate for is that the organization needs to understand their process before they are actually able to automate it or improve on it. So understanding what their process is and what they want out of it is definitely going to help them be more successful to launch major security incident or security incidents in the future.
Yeah, and I think even with regardless of whether it's security or software asset management or anything else on the platform, having visibility into the data and then having a good understanding of the right people and the processes is going to ensure proper success in an implementation.
Absolutely, yes. And this is also a conversation we're more than happy to take offline after today's webinar. Please reach out to us and we'll definitely help coordinate this conversation, whether that was with ServiceNow or we can help you find the appropriate partner to have more further conversation with regarding that specific matter.